podcast. It's me here, Stephanie from Your Lovely, along with my lovely business partner, Maggie, also sometimes called Maggie May. But mostly by me. Nobody else calls her that. All right, you guys, let's jump into it real quick. We're not going to dilly-dally. Let's talk about the topic today. And the topic is all about buckets.
Buckets?
What do we mean when we're talking about buckets? What do we mean?
So what we want to talk about bucket-wise today is mainly income buckets. How do we make our money? And maybe explain some reasons why we've chose to do what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to dive into this, or you want me to?
Sure. I think in general, and of course not everybody's the same, but in general, when people get started with small handmade businesses especially, it's usually just one or two things, like you're selling at farmers markets or craft shows. Maybe you have your stuff in one store or something. And I think a lot of us probably started like that. But over the years, Stephanie and I have been in business. We have learned the lesson of things break, including technology, websites, and it's really smart to diversify where you sell things. Just in
Absolutely.
General. So right now at this point, we sell 9 different places online, which really sounds like a lot.
It does.
9 different places online. Yes. Obviously, if you've been around with us for a while, and if you're new, that's fine too, but we have 2 Shopify websites. We have a retail one and a wholesale one. We sell an Amazon.
And we did that on purpose.
We did that on purpose. And maybe sometime we can explain why we did that. There was very, very poignant reasons for making that decision.
It was very intentional.
Yes, very intentional. Yeah. We sell on Amazon, and we have since the beginning. And then there's a handful of other small buckets that we're currently trying out. Some have been a flop, some work very well, but all the rest of those, so like the other 6, only comprise about 15 to 20% of our overall income. So they're all pretty small at this point, but we like trying new things because you never know what's going to take off.
I know.
So
absolutely.
Stephanie, why don't you talk about maybe some of the reasons we pick some of these extra buckets? Like, what did we see in those programs or websites that we're like, oh, this might work for us?
I think, I want to say too, when it comes to diversifying the different ways that people can find you or buy from your product, I will say roll it out slowly, as far as don't jump in and say, oh my God, I have to have 9 buckets to start. 2 or 3 buckets are great until you feel confident that you can do the work that needs to be done, that you have the right staffing, everything else that comes in line with it. And then you continue to just increase the amount of buckets that you have over time. And there's a lot more buckets that we could decide to do if we wanted to. We don't have an in-person way to buy from us. Is that something we want to do? Possibly. And if we do, then what does that all look like? And what do we all need in order to make that happen and make it a viable bucket so that we can collect more in there? As for the smaller buckets that we're trying out, the reason why we're doing that and not just relying 100% on our website, which I will say, the one thing, if you start off on, say, Etsy, I would always strongly recommend that you should also have a website going, at least started, built, that you can still drive traffic to, because over time, there's always the chance that the fees for Etsy get too high. The traffic is no longer what it was. It is so saturated that you feel like you're never being found. There's all of this other stuff that comes with it. So I would always suggest to always have your own website, no matter what, just so that there's a backup there if you need it, or that you can make that your main focus, and everything else just kind of works. And that's what these other small buckets are for us. There's not a lot of us, we don't push anybody to those other buckets. They find us organically through the marketing of those other companies. Like, we're paying the fees. For example, we are on Etsy. We're paying the fees on Etsy because we know that by paying those fees, Etsy is doing the marketing for us. As long as we have the right keywords, the right kind of product information, we don't have to do a lot more extra work to market ourselves on that platform. So there's a little less work involved in that side of things as far as the full marketing. And that's what we're doing with all these other small little buckets. They're other businesses, they're platforms. But we know by being on that platform that at any point it could disappear tomorrow. And those customers, while bought from us, are really not our customers necessarily. They're the platform's customers. So by having your own website on top of everything, those are your customers. Those are the ones that you're going to nurture a lot more. But those other buckets are great if, say, things are a little bit slow on the retail website, slower than you would like. Those other buckets are going to help be consistently bringing in additional income so that it's spread out all across the board. So some buckets will be a little bit fuller one month, and then another month, the other bucket might be a little bit fuller, just so that you can continue to grow. Did I kind of hit all of those points, Maggie?
You did, and it brought me to two things I want to talk about, and they're kind of separate. So first, just as a little side note and some encouragement, if you're like, oh my God, you think I should have a website? I don't know how to do that. Really, you guys? If you look up YouTube videos, you can build your own website, and you don't need the glitz and glamour and special little buttons. Really, you just need to have your stuff up there, and don't worry about making it extra special. You literally, I'm telling you, you can do it yourself. You just need to look up videos how to do it. It is achievable.
And I will say too, even if you want for a website, just so that you have presence there to be able to direct people, it could just be as simple as a landing page that talks about who you are, what you offer, and then you can direct them, say, to an Etsy shop. If that's where all your listings are, you can say, if you are interested in purchasing, here's the link to that. And also make sure to have some sort of place where they can put their email address.
Yes. Collect.
Please.
And that might segue into a conversation a little later, but if you have your own website, the minimum you should be doing is collecting people's email address.
Because that's the only thing on the internet, in all honesty. Even your website might go down at some point, or the whatever service that you're working with, they may no longer offer it. And you're going to have to start over with that. But the only thing that you have then is that email list that you've collected so that you can reach out to those customers and be like, hey, we moved. And they can follow you wherever else you're going. So
it's a super important asset.
I would say you want to look into the rules of collecting information, all of the email, if you collect an email list, there's MailChimp, and I can never say the other one, Klaviyo, and there's all sorts of different, there's MailerLite we used for a long time. There's lots of different companies that collect that. You can also collect those email addresses at craft shows and at different events. Just make sure that, you've gotten their signature and the information. Most people aren't going to do this, but you can get in trouble if you can't prove that you had authorization or approval to start sending them emails. So that's the one little, we're not lawyers, this isn't legal advice, but there is, make sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's. That stuff. Just get it done. Words are hard. So good that we have a podcast now. Jeez.
So the other thing I want to mention before we move on is when you start looking at other buckets, platforms, almost approach it in a way of a small separate business plan, because you need to understand how they collect payment, what percentage they take, how they pay you, their terms of what happens if there are issues. And I'm going to tell you, okay, so like I said, we sell on 9 different platforms. None of them work the same. None of them have the same rules, same fees.
They're not even close.
So different. So you need to understand what you're signing up for. they're all different. So
Yeah.
just be aware what you're getting into.
And I'll say too, like all of them have different types of algorithms and different ways of like keywords and descriptions and how robust versus how simplified they are. So that's where I said too, to go small. Like once you get a handle of one and it's chugging along, then go and grab another one and start chugging along on that one and just kind of keep growing a little bit at a time, inch by inch, and that'll help.
Then the other thing I would encourage people to do, and I don't do this myself, but somebody else on our team does kind of, is that if you have all these extra buckets, there's most likely Facebook groups for these specific platforms with other people selling on those platforms. And I think it's a good way for you to like bounce ideas off of other sellers or ask questions or help other people. And I think that's been helpful to Maggie number 2, who manages a lot of that on our team. She's in a lot of those groups. And I know often she's like, oh, I saw this, or I asked this, or I helped this person. So I think it's a really good source of information for each individual bucket.
And I'll say too, for what Maggie number 2 does for us, she does a phenomenal job of actually building a relationship with the reps of the companies as well and asking for help and trying to understand the platform better so that we can use it the best way possible. And they're going to be happy that we're on their platform because we're doing well, because if we're doing well, they're doing well. I personally don't like talking to anybody. So it's like for me to like set up a conference call or what, I don't like it. I don't want to unless I absolutely have to. So I'm so appreciative that she does that. And I know that it's been beneficial for us. So I definitely will say, don't be like me. Be like Maggie number 2. And get to know your account reps and really take advantage of the knowledge and information they have, because they're the ones that are going to know their platform the best. They're the ones that are going to give you the best tips and tricks and want you to succeed. So definitely create that relationship and don't just avoid talking to people.
I think, Steph, another thing let's talk about, and this one's kind of hard because it's almost lives in a conceptual space. It's not something you can touch or like really understand, but all these different platforms, I should say you can't understand easily, but all these different platforms have their own fucking algorithms. Sorry, I saw their own algorithms.
We're never going to get through one without you using your potty mouth.
You have a worse potty mouth than I do. You just hide it better.
I'm so good at hiding it. Oh my gosh. So funny.
Okay, anyways. So they all have their own algorithms.
Yes.
And something that's difficult of being a small business owner is that you literally cannot do everything.
No.
But
you want to.
What I encourage you is be aware of all the things. And if you need help, like ask for help or, Google whatever. But the algorithms on these platforms are always changing. So if all of a sudden, I guess I could talk from experience, like we sell on Amazon, there's times where one particular product is going crazy and Amazon is like, send us 1,000 more and this and that. And then it dies, it crashes. Mm-hmm. We didn't do anything different. It's not us, and it's one of those things of like, I guess if something crashes on one of your buckets, don't get too upset. Just know like they change stuff and it's probably a good time to try to Google what happened on Facebook this week in the back end, like what's going on here. And this is all part of the reason we have so many buckets is because shit breaks.
Yeah.
Stuff breaks. It doesn't.
I've given up. Just let your truth.
Okay.
Let it fly.
There is no platform we're on that it has always worked amazing.
Right.
Because it doesn't.
Oh, never.
Sense. There's just no. We used to have this thing, you guys, where we were like, what was it about Fridays? What did we used to say? Low Tech Fridays. We used to be like, oh, it's Low Tech Friday. It's almost the weekend. We'll get a break. Every freaking Friday. Like,
Sorry.
there would be some kind of technical issue, so we just gave up. Like, it's
I
a
know.
joke. Like, we jinxed ourselves.
It
There's
is
no
a
Low
joke.
Tech Friday.
There is no Low Tech Friday. There's never been Low Tech. Well, and what happened with the whole Low Tech Friday? I know this is a tangent off of what we're talking about, but it's rather funny. I don't remember what the project was, but I did something like very hardcore technical. Like, I don't know if it was we were updating the website and just everything broke. It was horrific and it became a joke. And my dad is super involved in our business. He's always kept up to date on what's going on. And I was talking to him, and he is actually the one that made the comment about a Low Tech Friday, that I should have Low Tech Fridays and not touch anything on Fridays that has to do with technology. But it's impossible. So but our luck is always like Fridays, that it like completely, everything goes to shit
Something
on
happens.
Fridays. It was so bad that one year. It was like the first year, I want to say, in business when Fridays were really bad for us. We had so much bad luck. But yeah, everything breaks. So you have to be, I mean, I think our goal in life too, like, nothing has been smooth sailing in this entire journey. Like, it's all been serendipitous in a way. Like, things work themselves out as they should over time, but it's a bumpy ride. We got to hold in and strap in for all of it, but we laugh over all of it better than crying. Most of the time. There are some tears. There's screaming. Not at each other, though. Not at each other.
I think in general, Steph, we do a pretty pristine job of not showing our customers like the shit we have to go through. I don't think anybody really has any idea, like, stuff we've had to deal with. It's been pretty crazy. But anyways, I think to like bring everything back around, then we can talk about a couple more buckets that have to do with money, is that if you're just getting started, just get started with one or two things. Yeah. But in our personal experience, the more buckets you can have that are manageable for you, the better. And, just do your research, know what you're signing up for, make sure you can handle, like, if they all pick up at one time, that you can handle that amount of business at one time, and just stay up to date on changes that are being made. And like Stephanie mentioned, and I mentioned, join those Facebook groups, make buddies with the reps, and, just put yourself out there in the right places, and don't be so limited to just a couple craft shows or like one store.
I'll say too, with buckets in particular, like, there sometimes can be easy to like set it and forget it, but really you shouldn't. Like, all of them need to be nurtured. Sometimes you'll definitely start, the longer you're in there in the weeds of it all, you'll start to figure out like which one needs more attention than others, but all need some sort of attention. So you want to, when you're expanding, you need to have those hard conversations with yourself. Like, why am I expanding? What do I want to do? And am I able to? And be really honest with yourself. If you're already tapped out and stressed to the max, and it's because things are doing so well, then either that means bringing in somebody else to help at that point, or it just means that, this is just not the right time for you to continue to expand. You have to have those, like, I mean, the end goal I know is always to, like, quote unquote, make more, but you have to be reasonable with that and your expectations of what does that mean? Like, it does mean you're only one person and you only have 24 hours in the day. So have those conversations.
And that's a thing too, that's a huge decision to bring another person on. So if you get to that point, make sure you're really doing the math of like, okay, I got to pay this person this much. Just know your cost of goods, the time spent, what you're going to pay this person, how these fees for you got to know it all and make sure it makes sense. All the numbers. Before you bring somebody on. Because I'm going to tell you from our experience, everyone we hire, we love, and we never, ever, ever want to be like, we got to let you go. We can't afford you.
We messed up.
So
yeah.
and we've never done that.
No.
So, I don't know. Just know your numbers before you hire somebody, I guess. But
we'll talk about that too at a later date.
Let's there's a little more about income buckets, but it's not to do with platforms. So another way we make money that involves multiple different things. So marketing.
A million different. Well, I mean, a million buckets. Last episode, we talked about building community. So a lot of this is going to be a similar conversation, but we definitely spread ourselves out in multiple different ways for marketing because not everybody is on the same platform. That, if we're focused only on Facebook, half of the people that that would be interested in our product are not on Facebook. So they're never going to hear about us. So we market on Facebook. We have a Facebook business page that we've grown and have had forever.
And we run ads on there.
And we run ads on the Facebook page, primarily for our retail side of things, not for wholesale.
Yes.
We also, on the Facebook platform, have a Facebook group that we're very active in. And we'll talk a little bit more about the group as far as why we market there as well. And there is another little bucket just within that group as far as almost it is a bucket.
It is its own.
It's not just for, right. There's a bucket that's sitting in that group. And we'll talk about that in a second. Then we're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We have a newsletter. I'm saying these really fast. And we're also, okay. And we've got text messages that we also do. I feel like I'm forgetting something, possibly. Google ads. We do Google ads as well, but that's not social media. But that's one of the advertisements we also do. Am I forgetting?
And I'll say this isn't really an advertising bucket, but any chance for any kind of publicity about either of our entrepreneurial journeys or the business.
Oh, I forgot about that.
There's no reason to say no. They don't come along that often on their own. Now you can go and search out those things yourself, which feels slightly disingenuous. But anyways,
we're not in traditional PR at the moment. We've done it before. Like I've been on a couple of podcasts and been interviewed. So if anybody's listening and wants to interview Maggie or myself, we are open to that. 2 women working a business across the country. I'm just going to put the pitch right there.
Right.
Just, holler at us. We've done some collaborations on like Instagram. I haven't done any collaborations on YouTube. I think that would be really fun if anybody ever wants to hit us up on there.
Yeah, I think that would be fun too.
That would be fun. So we've done some other things as well, but those are like, when they come, we take that opportunity. I mean, we've done too, I don't know if we ever want to talk about, but we did the FedEx grant. Do you remember that? Our first year?
Yeah, we applied for the FedEx Small Business Grant and made it to the finalist list. And then we didn't get it. But I mean, I'm sure there was some exposure in that process.
Exactly. So sometimes we use it as an exposure. Oh, and there was Home Talk too. I did a ton of stuff with Home Talk for a year.
Home Talk. Yes, we did.
And that was one of those, that was an opportunity that they reached out to us. Like they found us and wanted to see if we wanted to work with them. I also there's an online platform that does all like classes and things like that. They've reached out to us and I did a couple classes for them as well. So
I can't think of the name of that either, but I know
See, we've done so many
things we can.
Creative Fabrica, I think. Creative Fabrica. They're from the Netherlands, I believe. So we've done other things.
So the whole reason, again, it's the same as why we're on so many platforms, is not everybody is using text messages or email or Facebook or TikTok. So if you want to reach people potentially interested in what you have, you got to try all the things. And especially, I can't stress this enough. And this isn't just coming from us. Like we've had analysis done and stuff like this, but I know a lot of our regular customers live on Facebook, but things are changing, you guys, with social media, like really, really big time. And It's not I'm just going to say, I don't want to freak people out, but just know, like, from our personal experience recently and these, analyses we have done on the business by other people, you got to do other stuff besides on Facebook.
Times are changing.
Times are changing.
Times are changing.
Now, there's not really time to dick around.
And who's to say, too, if any new platforms, I mean, the internet is an amazing machine, basically. Who knows what is going to be the next big, like, way to connect with people. I don't think that the main, 4 or 5, like, big platforms, and there's other platforms that we're not a part of that are really big in their own communities. I mean, we don't have a Discord. We're not on Reddit. We don't do Twitch or streaming or anything like that besides
no Snapchat.
On Facebook. Not happening. We're not doing
not
Snapchat.
Happening.
I can't even tell this story. My dad sent a message after hearing about Snapchat and asked about a different platform that was an adult version.
Say it.
He was like, is the platform OnlyFans? I was like, no, Dad, it's not OnlyFans.
Oh, you're lovely on OnlyFans. Woo! No,
just my hands working with flowers. That's the only thing.
I double dog dare you to do that.
I'll start an OnlyFans account. It's just going to be me dyeing flowers. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll dye flowers with my feet. Who knows?
Anything it takes to get the word out there, right?
So yeah, there's certain, like, but whatever makes sense for your business. Like, you could be somebody who enjoys gaming and also is a crafter. It makes sense to possibly be on Twitch. Jeez Louise, I'm so old. Oh, we also aren't on Twitter. We don't do anything with Twitter.
We don't do anything on Twitter either.
It just kind of depends on your own personality too, but what makes sense for your business and where are your customers. You kind of got to follow wherever they are. So yeah, let's
circle back around to why the group is kind of also really a platform in itself. So, like we talked about in our last episode, we have a pretty active private Facebook group, and we like for those ladies to feel special. So at times we do events and sales just in the group.
Yeah.
And really it turns out to be another revenue stream because we'll do a warehouse closeout or a live sale or, discounted this, but only in the group. So,
or we just found this and this is the last one left. Does anybody want it? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't keep it as an intentional bucket that every month we're going to throw something in the group to have another income source, but it's definitely there when we have the right thing that we want to offer for that group that only they are then privy to, which I think is fun. I enjoy that. Yeah. So those are all of the...
do all the things.
Okay. Do all the things.
Do all the things.
So here's... yeah, right. But when time allows and only if you have the energy to do so.
I'm just being silly. Yeah.
So the other thing we were talking about too, off camera, or off the podcast, if you're listening, was the other way to kind of keep buckets going is to offer a variety of items. Like, you might be known really well for, like, it's fine to start out with one thing and it does really well, but styles change, personalities change. Like, if you are super big into farmhouse stuff, there is going to be a time when that is no longer trendy or is, like, accepted. So you have to keep evolving the things that you do, evolve with the product offerings that you have that make sense. I mean, if you want to be a catch-all of all kinds of stuff and that's your jam, you can market it that way. Like, you can definitely make it work. We've always chose to add on new products that make sense to our core line, which is obviously the flowers. The flowers are what started it all. The wood flowers are our main focus, but then we start bringing in other things that make sense. We got a laser printer. What is it now? 2-3 years? It's been a while.
It's been
3 years. So we offer that and make special items that are only available in our shop, as well as some other kind of blanks and
because
things
we
like that.
design them in-house.
That we design in-house. Yeah. We print in-house. So that adds to the little bit of special kind of uniqueness that we can offer. We brought in greenery. We brought in other craft supplies like the wires and floral tape and all of the other stuff that you need to make everything with. And then we just introduced a paint line for dyeing just recently. So we're always thinking of other things of like, how can we get people everything that they need?
Yes.
At our shop that makes sense. I mean, the only thing we really haven't, and it's more for logistical purposes, and we have like wood boxes and stuff like that on occasion, but the biggest thing is like we don't have vases or containers and things like that, just for logistical and shipping. Yeah. And so you have to have those conversations too. What makes sense? And then are you going to be able to ship it safely? Like what are the margins? All of that stuff has to be accounted for before you dive into another product. But I think it's important to have multiple things, just like everything else, because say something does really well for years and then it starts to not do well, and that's the only thing you have. What are you going to do?
I think the lesson in all of this, talking about the income buckets, advertising, offering items, is it's a bad idea to go into business at all thinking like, oh, this one thing does so well for me. This one platform does so well for me. I'm golden.
Yeah, this is the only thing I'm going to focus on.
Yeah, you just have to keep an open mind. And with the products, like Steph says, you know, trends change, or, you know, you might saturate your little local market with the arrangements you're selling and you need to do holiday wreaths, or, you know, you need to make your own bouquet stand because everybody's got all the wreaths on their door already, you know, like, so stay innovative. Like, it's great to find something you're really good at, but just keep building on that. And I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of small handmade businesses get stuck on the I'm really good at this. And that's fine. And it can be okay. But if you're focused on you want to grow, make more money to support your family, you got to diversify.
Yeah. It helps to make you resilient. And that, I mean, that's just the bottom line. It makes you so that no matter what comes, you always have other things.
Something else in your back pocket. You're ready with the next thing, or you're already doing the next thing. Like, you know, and I guess a little behind the scenes, you know, like we're already doing stuff for Christmas and fall. Like you gotta be thinking, you gotta be ahead of the game.
And we might even ahead of the game. in the big corporate world, we're behind. Like most of the holiday orders are legit happening right after the holidays. You're already ordering all of that stuff in January. So, we try to be a little bit more, and the longer we're in business, the better that we've been able to get systems in place and be a little bit more mindful and aware. Like, it's better to plan out a couple months in advance so that you have your marching orders, so to speak. You know what you need to do, you can get it done, and you have plenty of time to do it. I know that that's not always easy at the beginning, though. I'm definitely a fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. But over the years, it's definitely been beneficial to plan things out a little bit better. So, and that helps again too, then with the buckets, as far as if you know you really want to focus on one thing, you get it to a place that you can really focus on that particular bucket, and the rest are kind of just doing their thing in the background. And then also, if one of those buckets gets a leak in it, we'll just keep this analogy going.
Leaky buckets.
You get a leaky bucket, you have other buckets that are around to keep the momentum going, so you can fix the leaky bucket of what's going on and what you need to do to fix that, so you can put more attention on that one, and the other ones are going to keep you floating along. I don't know what we're doing here with these analogies.
So, Steph, do you think we burn people out on the word bucket today?
I think so. I hope we should have put a disclaimer at the beginning. No shots as we say the word bucket. Only water. Only water.
But anyways, you guys, again, all of these, our podcasts are from our personal experience of running Oh You're Lovely for 3.5 years now. We're not experts. There's probably better ways of doing X, Y, and Z, but for us, we're just sharing our knowledge of what we've gone through, what's worked. So just take it with a grain of salt. We're not experts.
We're not telling you have to have 6 buckets right out the gate.
Right.
If that's the only thing you take from it, is diversify, but do so in a pace that makes sense for your own well-being and mental health. Because it can get pretty crazy quickly if you are. And then I think too, and then we'll wrap this up. I think by forcing yourself to have like a ton of different things going on at all once and not one doing well, like super well, you're going to start feeling very overwhelmed and thinking this isn't going to work and all of this other stuff and just quit then. So start slow and steady and then keep expanding as you go. We did not have 6 buckets to start this business. No, but we over had time
2 and quickly 3, and then we
stuck with
at first.
Yeah, I would say we had 3 or 4.
Yes,
yeah,
for a long time.
For a long time. It's just within the last year that we've really started to expand out more with those and be more intentional with those buckets as well. So yay, buckets! Take a shot. I think that's it for today's episode. Unless you guys
don't forget to email us questions.
Yes.
Stephanie, we have an email address.
We do. It is podcast@ohyourlovely.com. So please send us a message there. Let us know what you'd like to talk about.
Almost anything. Almost anything we'll talk about.
Except for us joining OnlyFans. That is not an option.
Come on. Take one for the team.
God, take one for the team. Can you imagine? Oh, man. So email us suggestions, comments, things you'd like us to talk about, all that fun stuff. That helps us to make sure that we're, babbling on about things you guys want to hear about. We have a whole bunch of other topics planned. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to running your own business, but we want to make sure we're talking about things you guys enjoy. So let us know. Also, we put these over on YouTube, so if you want to watch us chatting, as well as you can comment there and we'll take those comments. And at some point we'll have a whole episode on the comments. So I think that's it today.
Yeah, I think that's good.
We'll say the word bucket one last time.
Thank
you guys. All right, you guys have a lovely day. We'll see you super soon. I'm Stephanie from Oh You're Lovely. Who are you? There's Maggie. All right, you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you and see you soon.